Hello guys, this is going to be a quick shoutcast, but it's more of a review of a 1v1 between two mates of mine. They're very new to the game. The game is Supreme Commander Forged Alliance, in case you don't know. So don't expect much by way of entertainment. It's mostly just tips and tricks and advice for future games. So you've both started with land factories, which is good. Don't start with air factories. That requires a very specific build order, unless you're on a massive map, which you shouldn't really be for a 1v1. But yeah, land factory, good. 1 power generator immediately after, good. You've gone for 3 power generators. Chris has gone for 2. I think in this situation actually 2 is better. 2 is slightly better because what you basically you go for 3 or even 4 power generators if this engineer or if the next one immediately goes to reclaim rocks and high mass objects. These trees not very much, not very high in mass. The rocks are. So if you build 3 power generators, you must then go and send your engineers to get some more mass to make up for it, because you're going to end up being behind. Look, you're already behind 3. Nanox has got 3, and you've got 1, because he's only built 2 and he's gone to build his mass extractors. After building these 2, you should actually continue with a bit more power and then build the other 2, but it doesn't matter, pretty much the same. Oh, am I watching at this speed? So you've both done the right thing, sending your engineers out to capture the map. Chris, good idea with this scout. This blue line is radar. It's got a lot, the range is a lot smaller than the static radar that you can get, the buildings, but it's cheaper and it can move. So this is a good idea to scout the enemy base. So that's one thing for you to do, Phillip, in future. Build 1 or 2 radar units and send them along with your tanks, and you can cover. For example, a radar unit plus a tank, send it here, park it here or there. You can see what's going on. Both of your engineers are vulnerable to harassment, as you'll see now. Chris has sent his tanks. And every mass extractor denied at this point in the game is crucial. It's like losing a builder in StarCraft, pretty much, at the beginning. Not as important, actually, not as important as that, but you can draw comparisons. Going on here, so you've got 2 factories with 2 tanks being produced, and he's going for 3 factories because he's got extra economy, so he can afford it. Good. Denying this. What's going on here? Oh, you're capturing his engineer. And you're reclaim. Oh, you cancelled. If you carried on capturing, you would have captured it. That's unfortunate. He's reclaimed the mass extractor and your engineer, never mind. Never noticed that in the game. Okay, here's a point defense. As you can see, point defenses completely wiping out your army, Chris. The reason you didn't have a scout along with your army, you didn't see that there was a building there. Most likely it was going to be a point defense or a radar. And you should have had artillery with you, and artillery can outrange it. Just to show you. This is the range of a point defense. This is the range of a tank. And this is the range, the outer gold ring is the range of the artillery, so always bring along some artillery. My build order, I don't know if it's the right one, but I do, I think, 5 tanks and then 1 artillery and put that on infinite loop. But I'm UEF, so it's a bit different. Actually, Seraphim artillery is quite good. I see a lot of people build quite a bit of artillery, so I don't know. You can experiment with that. So Nanox, you're ahead with economy. Mass-wise, you're not building power. I'll go back to that. I remember that. You're building an air factory. Do you have the power for it? Yes, you do. Okay. Usually going for an air factory costs quite a bit of power. I'll show you why. Oh, that's not the button. That's the button. Minus 40 energy is actually more than what you would spend to build a land factory. Whenever you go air, This is for everybody to know. If you build an air factory, and if you build anything from the air factory, you're going to need more power than you would need if you had built from a land factory. And actually, it's the opposite is true with the Navy. When you build on sea, you need more mass than power. Well, no, you don't need more mass than power, but you need less power than you would need if you were building from land. Good harassment here, Chris. Good job. You're dealing with the middle as well with the artillery. First with the radar. That radar shouldn't be at the front line. It's only got 10 HP. But at least you got to see his base. Now this is a really good play. I don't think you noticed this, Chris, in game, but he sniped your artillery with his tanks, which is a really good job, leaving 1 point defense there. So at this point you should have just, well, it's up to you. I mean, you can kill it, it's not got much health. You could have probably gone forward to kill it, or you could have waited for the next artillery, never mind. So he took the map from you here, just for fun. You're about even on economy. Again, you don't have any power. Now let me explain something here. Just for fun. Oh, okay. Just for fun, being a StarCraft player, has got a pretty good economy. He's actually not wasting that much power. This is pretty good, considering that he's, his income is 220 at this point. Wasting 50 power is actually pretty good. If it was more like 100 and using 50 power, that would be bad, but percentage wise it's not too bad. His mass is also not full, which means he's not wasting any mass, and he is, well, he's using it basically all the time on something, somewhere. Power generator, land factory. Maybe this air factory could have been used a bit more, but he doesn't really know how to use air, to be fair. Neither do you actually, but you, on the other hand, this has actually been going on for a while. I remember in the game, all these, this +6, this +14, this +12, this is going down the toilet, which means +12, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mass extractors wasted, because each of them gives you +2 income. 6 mass extractors wasted. Never waste mass. This green bar should never be there unless you're reclaiming and you haven't quite managed it properly. However, it is good that you've got lots of factories at least. With so much mass, what you should have been doing with this mass is actually building power. The only reason you have this mass is because you didn't build a power farm, basically. Just, I don't know, 10 power generators in a row here, or 15 power generators in a row. You wouldn't have this mass, you wouldn't be floating. Alternatively, you could have just built another 2-3 land factories and started making more tanks, and that would have basically been a rush, and you might have won the game doing that. But so far, just for fun, your economy is pretty good. But you should pay attention to this. He's got more production than you do. You only have 3 factories. You try your best to build some more. Now, Chris, you just walked you had more numbers, you had more army, but you walked it into his base. Split up. Don't do that. You know that already. His bombers are good. Oh, you didn't get to see it, but this bomber actually got quite a few kills. And something else worth noting. Oh, look at the radar of a bomber. You see that range? In fact, that range, that range is huge. This is the smallest map you can get in Supreme Commander. This range covers almost the whole map. You build 2 or 3 with these bombers and you have them patrolling like this. Very useful. But normally that won't work because both players should be getting anti-air. But just a note, that is also a good scout. Shouldn't really send your commander out like that by himself, because what's going to happen is, this is especially why you shouldn't send him out by himself. He has radar coverage. Just for fun, is building a radar. Here it is, complete. now he can see everything on his side of the map. Good defensive radar. You, no radar on the map at all. No radar. You don't know anything. And this ACU is all the way out here by himself without any backup. And look at the danger. This isn't actually enough to kill you. Well, it is. But if your ACU went offensive, he would probably just survive. But you didn't know that, and you sent your army back. If you'd pushed here, you probably would have won as well. You had enough to... Oh no, he had a point defense. Well, if you dealt with a point defense and then pushed through, you might have done so much damage, you probably would have won. This is good though. You've taken the right. Probably could have tried to go around and knock out these. Oh, he's got... Okay, this is when he got Tech 2 mass extractors. This is the difference. +6 compared to a +2. See, this adds up over time. But the thing is, Tech 1 mass extractors... What are you doing here? Why is that going on? That might just be pathfinding. Tech 1 mass extractors give you +2. Okay, and they are designed using only 36 mass to produce, which means after 16 seconds or 18 seconds this mass extractor has paid for itself and you're making a profit. These, however, Tech 2, they cost 900 mass, so that takes quite a bit longer. I think it's 2 minutes and a bit to repay itself. I don't remember the exact number, might have changed a bit, but yeah, these are an investment. If you do this, that means you don't have enough tanks, which is why you're outnumbered here all the time. Both of these mass extractors cost you 1,800 mass, which is mass that Chris put into his tanks, which is why he was outnumbering you here. And I would say, Chris, by the way, if you see such little anti-air, in fact, if you see air in general and you want to counter it, I would recommend avoiding the land anti-air and going simply for interceptors and planes, building an air factory and getting planes. Now this was not good because you had, again here, you had numbers, or even if you didn't have numbers, you had power because these tanks are stronger than the other ones. But you just walked them into his base. He had a point defense here. You were doing it on a hill. You already know what happens if you do that. What could happen if you do that. However, this artillery, boom, good shot. I love Seraphim artillery. But it still wasn't, it still was okay. Both sides are actually fairly even at this point, apart from the fact that Just for Fun has more power, which you could fix quite quickly if you wanted to. But your major problem is the fact that because you had no power, you couldn't tech up as quickly as he could, and you had no radar, and you're still wasting mass. Look at this. This white number, I don't know if you get that in your game. If it's flashing white, that means it's bad. If it's red, then it's quite... Well, if it's white, then it's really bad. If it's red, then it's bad. If it's yellow, then it's not good. And yeah, you're still floating, so this plays a big part in the result of the game. He overextended here, but he has captured the rest of the map here. Good. Your AC's gone for a walk again in the dark. It's alright, I suppose, if he's distracted. Another fight. You should win this because he's in the choke point, but he goes back, and then you... Oh no, okay, you hold back as well. You've actually got more mass than he does because you have more mass extractors. Tech 1 mass extractors, as I told you the numbers already, they're so much more efficient than the Tech 2 mass extractors. That's why you're ahead. You could be even more ahead if you reclaimed all of this in the middle. But, just for fun, you'll see this later as well. if you had reclaimed all of these tanks, just build 2 or 3 engineers and reclaim all of this, you would have had lots of mass. You also should rebuild that. Actually, that's why you're behind, because you lost that Tech 2 mass extractor. I think it was Tech 2 anyway. You're still not building power. Oh, there we go. You've just begun now. Now the other thing to note is, I didn't notice this before, but if he attacks now through here, you don't know if he's going to attack or not because you have no radar. I'm not going to repeat that again. But if he attacks through here now, look at your formation. He's going to start. You have more numbers than he does, but he's going to start killing you like this line like that, and then by the time he gets here, you'll be outnumbered. Whereas if this is facing like that, then more numbers, more tanks will be shooting at the same time. So this is dangerous to do. You have to just individually micro that. They don't really do square formations like in Supreme Commander 2, so be careful with that. Also, I said this in game, but I'll repeat it. Mobile missile launchers are meant to kill buildings because the rockets, if you're going to see it here, where is that going? All the way over here. Oh, I missed. Never mind. Next one. Oh, missed. Oh, I think it was aiming for the engineer. Oh yeah, you can't see the mass extractor. It was aiming for the engineer. Okay. Well, as you can see, it's not good against moving units. They're not homing rockets. So these are not the equivalent of Tech 1 artillery. So build those only when you're sieging bases. So this was a bad engagement. You already know why. There's good defense as well, actually. Pulling his units back, letting his turrets do most of the work, and then coming back forward. Very good. Meanwhile, he's taking the right side. And he's already got Tech 2 units. These are all Tech 1 units by you, Chris. And he's got Tech 2 tanks here. He was not microing his ACU, which means I think missiles hit him right in the face. Actually, that wasn't so bad as I thought. You hurt his ACU quite a lot, but you lost a lot of units. Finally, some Tech 2. This is the difference between Tech 1 and Tech 2 in this game. Well, it's a bit different for each race, but for Seraphim, for example, Tech 1 tank has 280 health. Tech 2 bot, 2500 health. They also shoot a lot quicker, so their DPS is higher. These bots are really good, and I think they move slightly quicker because they're bots and not tanks. Aeon, Tech 1, 140 health. Tech 2, 2750 health. But they have a shield instead of health, works a bit differently. Don't know if I like that or not, but still. Tech 2 units are a lot more powerful. That being said, you should always mix your Tech 2 with Tech 1. Don't just build a Tech 2 army, because generally it can get beaten by a mixture of Tech 2 and Tech 1. You built power at last. Maybe too much. Yeah, you're floating on power. Basically, actually having extra power is not a bad thing. That is actually not a bad thing. What is a bad thing is the fact that you've had to spend mass on getting this power to this level. So if you think of it that way, then it's not good. Because each of these power generators costs 75, I think, 75 mass, something like that. So all this extra mass here, that's 11 generators. So almost 750 mass that you're wasting here. So 675 mass that you've just wasted. Which is about 12 tanks, something like that. Which doesn't seem like a lot if you're throwing them away, but it would be if you were doing it properly. But still, good that the fact that you had lots of production facilities. That's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. Also, splitting up your power generators is good. You don't need to split them up that far apart. They don't have that big an explosion. The explosion they have is like, it's like one tile, I think, and it's not that strong. It won't destroy the other one. What's bad is if you build them in a grid. If you do that, then you damage all of them. But if you build them in a line, that's okay. It's fine to build them in a line. It's quicker as well. At the moment, I believe actually, Chris, you still have the advantage because these bots are they're actually stronger than, well, apart from that one. Tech 2, oh, you only have one actually. 2, 3, why is that over there? These bots are very strong. Even though he has quite a lot of Tech 2. Oh, yeah, and now that he's sending it that way, you're stronger. This is good. Still denying the map. But why deny the map and not capture these things? I don't know. This attack doesn't prove very good because you don't know what's behind here. Again, the point defense doing most of the damage. Look at what happens. Look how many tanks are shooting at the hill. The bots as well. You needed artillery. If you had a bit of artillery here, you could have done a bit more. Artillery is good for maps which have lots of hills and stuff, obviously, because they shoot over it. See, look how much damage you did. You still did so much damage. He was microing his tanks, I think, to keep them alive. All this mass, look at all this mass you could have reclaimed just for fun. Phillip, why am I still calling you just for fun? JFF. Could call you JFF. But at this point, I think Chris has seen that, you know, despite all the pressure he was throwing on you. Whoa, what's this? Okay. This is also why. What you did here, Chris, is you clicked on his commander instead of giving a move order. If you'd given a move order to move here earlier, and then when you get here, then focus on him, just to make sure you're not shooting these things, you probably would have died. Look at his health. For that, if you'd given a move order rather than right clicking on him, it would have been a lot better. I did say attack move and, you know, focus fire is generally not a good idea in this game. You should give move orders, and then when you surround the unit, then attack it. That was unfortunate. Probably would have killed him. Now these, by the way, just for fun, you get two types of Tech 2 tanks, Zayon. These are the blades. These have 1,000 health. I remember I showed you the ones with the shields. They are obsidians. They have 2,750 health. I'm not sure what the difference is. You'll have to look up on the database. I think these ones are definitely faster. The heavy tanks are always slow. These ones are faster, and no, they're all hover units actually. But I think these are good for water operations because they're quick. They can go over the water and surround ships. I think that's what assault tanks are for. Whereas heavy tanks are more heavy duty, you know, engagements. But still, they're all good choices. But I'm not sure what the DPS is. You'll have to look it up to see which of the two is better. Obviously, these have more health, and these are faster. So depends how you want to use them. At this point, Chris, you're kind of stuck in your base. Him with his Tech 2 extractors. You don't have any Tech 2 extractors. You can't support your economy, unfortunately. You can't support your army, unfortunately. He's got the map, and the game is pretty much over. Scout planes, good radar range, good vision range as well. More range than a bomber. Less health though. You can see what he's got. Well, that's enough. Basically, if I'll start with Chris. Obviously you know about that. You could have pushed through the middle earlier as well to kill him instead of defending ACU, but you didn't know that he would survive that. Yeah, instead of attacking through here so many times, you definitely should have pushed through the middle. Look at the wider choke point, and look at that choke point, on top of the fact that it's on a hill. You lost so much doing that. Apart from the reclaim, I already told you about that. You could reclaim these rocks to give you a boost early on. The main thing with you was the power generators. If you had built power generators, you wouldn't have been floating in mass. The power would have then allowed you to tech up. Or, if you really didn't want to build power generators, more factories, you would have had more tanks. Also, probably the biggest problem you had was just this, no radar. You built scouts at the beginning. You built scouts at the beginning, but then you built none again after that, and no radar. I actually think that's why you lost. You kept sending in your army, and you didn't know what he had. So I think that's probably the more reason than any that you lost. But definitely, the both of you should get air units, and you should build interceptors, which is the anti-air unit, at least just to make sure that the other player doesn't get air. Once you have air control, okay, he might have some ground flak here and there, but that's forcing him to spend his money on land anti-air, which isn't nice basically to do. So if you force him to do that, and you've got air covered with your interceptors, then you can build bombers, you can tech to Tech 2 and get gunships. Once you get air control, that's quite a powerful thing to have. It's like having creep basically as Zerg in StarCraft 2. So Chris, you could have definitely tried that, but I'm not sure you had too much power to go Tech 2, but you could have tried going air units. As for just for fun, you played really well pretty much the whole time, but definitely try and reclaim all of this next time. I've already told you, surround your Tech 2 mass extractors with mass storage, and I think that's about it actually. You did quite a good job overall taking back the map. Don't build Tech 2 mass extractors so far forward. Probably not a good idea. Like I said, they take 2.5 minutes to pay for themselves, so if he comes out and destroys this, it's gone. So it's not worth it. The Tech 2 mass extractors where it's safe. Tech 1 mass extractors everywhere else. But yeah, good game, Chris. Just to say, you would have won if you'd moved here. There are so many situations where you would have won. I feel like actually it was a very, very close game, despite the score here, which only reflects the economy. So forget that. I thought it was quite a close game, and if it had been any other map, Chris, you probably would have won. Any other 1v1 map, you probably would have won without a hill here, and without so much choke point. Although there are choke points on every map, but these are quite narrow. I think you would have been able to do it with your superior numbers. So unfortunate, but now you know. Always pack some artillery to deal with the point defense, and always have some radar, so that when you attack, you know what you're doing. Just for fun, very good from you. I think I've said everything I need to say. So hope that was helpful.